When you become pregnant, your doctor goes all over all the risks, all the things that you've been going through. They do a lot of testing just to make sure you and your baby are safe. But nobody ever goes over your thyroid and how that can be affected during pregnancy. After I had my first, I was having a really hard time, of course, as we all do. First new mom, you're like, what's going on? What's happening? And I was just like so exhausted. Like my body felt so weak. I remember doing a lunge to take the baby out of the bathtub, and I was just like shaking. And I don't really remember eating too much, but I just remember I got below my birth weight probably within the first month, and I was breastfeeding, so I just felt like depleted. No matter what I did, I just felt like something's wrong. Like I just don't feel like my body feels weak, like something feels off amongst all the other things. And so I went to my OB, told her my symptoms, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna test your thyroid. Turns out my TSH levels were through the roof. And she's like, you have hypothyroidism. She wanted to put me on levothyroxine. Like, I'm not going on medication. I can do this naturally. I am going to look up all the things that help with your thyroid, and I'm just going to take the holistic route. So I did for a month and came back, and my TSH levels had doubled. This is the problem I have, is that nobody told me about this during pregnancy. Nobody told me about these thyroid issues. And if I didn't know, because most new moms are exhausted, they're tired, they feel weak, they just had a baby. I'm just more like hypochondriac Helen, and I had to go to the doctor to make sure everything was fine, and that's when they found that. But what happens is our bodies are compensating for so much when we're pregnant that we end up in either hyper or hypothyroidism. So if we linger and don't do anything about it, it can actually lead that your body like stays like this. It's always compensating and becomes an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's. So that was what I was really worried about. So I really wanted to get on that medication, but I quickly weaned myself off of it, and it was just a pregnancy thing. But how many mothers don't know this, right? And then they continue to go on like, I'm just tired. And then they end up having thyroid issues when they're older, which they probably already had, and they're probably just already tired, but nobody thinks to test them. And even when I had my second baby, I had to ask my OB, please check my thyroid levels before and after. And I did have to go on levothyroxine again for a little bit after pregnancy, but then it was only for like a couple months, and then I went off of it. But this is something that needs to be talked about. I don't know if there's any OBs out there or anybody that is in the women's care or anything like that, but this has to be talked about. The group of friends I hang out with, every single one of them either has a thyroid problem or either has a family member that has a thyroid problem as a woman. So that should just tell you this is something that we really need to talk about, and that we should be known as mothers, because we could easily be putting ourselves in an autoimmune disorder just because we're not getting the treatment that we need because no one's talking about it. So let's talk about it. And have you had any issues with this? I would love to know if you've had this experience.